So today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about fertilizer spreader calibration for granular fertilizers. We had this conversation last week where we talked about how we can do a basic calibration where we do trial runs, but what I want to do today is I want to give you guys a little glimpse into the professional world and how we have to measure our fertilizers so we don't have to do the trial runs, thus saving us time so we can literally set our spreaders, get out there and do the application confidently knowing we are calibrated. So as you guys know, when it comes to doing any fertilizer application of any kind, proper fertilizer spreader calibration is going to be everything, because if we don't calibrate ahead of time, we don't really know what we're getting, right? Calibration is going to be our friend here. If we don't ensure that we're properly calibrated and we take a gamble and do an application with an improperly calibrated spreader, that's going to lead to a lot of problems. That could lead to damage, that could lead to waste of time and money, especially if we're trying to control a pest or a weed of some sort in conjunction with our fertilization process, which, by the way, is something I really stray away from, and I try to do that in liquid because it's simple, but this is something we just need to think about, especially if we're doing like a granular grub control or a crabgrass pre-emergent. We need to make sure we're spot on, right? Otherwise, we can leave room for cracks, and we don't want that. So in the granular fertilizer world, there are two different spreaders. You have a broadcast spreader and a drop spreader. A broadcast spreader, you put down the fertilizer, there's a flywheel, and what it does is it distributes the fertilizer in an umbrella-like fashion across the lawn. And the cool thing about that one is when you do applications with that, your application passes can be spaced out, allowing you to get the application down efficiently as you can do it evenly and in fewer passes. The second type of fertilizer spreader out there is a drop spreader, which, by the way, very few people use this one. And the way that one works is you put the fertilizer in, and then you have like a little wheel that spins like a reel on a reel mower, and as you drop it, it just drops down. Hence the name drop spreader. Now, the thing I don't like about this one is your passes actually have to be spaced properly. There's like little to no margin for error with this spreader, so I recommend avoiding it at all costs for this reason. If you overlap or underlap, you're going to cause striping no matter what you do with this spreader. It's just very, very hard to ensure a perfect, even application with a drop spreader. So if you're a DIYer getting started or a professional, avoid this one at all costs for residential or commercial properties. Definitely avoid. Let's go ahead and talk about how to calibrate a rotary spreader or a broadcast spreader, as it is the most widespread, most common fertilizer spreader that most DIYers are going to purchase and most professionals are going to use, given its ease of application and consistency and a little extra margin for error. So a little bit about granular fertilizers. Granular fertilizers are measured in what is known as SGN, which is size guide number, and that is basically measured by millimeters multiplied by 100. So oftentimes when you read a bag of fertilizer and you look at the label, you're going to see that it has an SGN of 100, 150, 200, and it can go all the way up to 500 in some cases. Now, for those of you who in the lawn care industry, we're often going to abide by what is called the SGN 240 standard, which means on average, most prills are going to have an SGN of 240. Now, why is SGN important? As I said, it's a size guide number, and it's going to change our fertilizer spreader settings, because if we want to go at 2 pounds per thousand on an SGN 100, which is smaller than an SGN 240, the spreader settings are going to be more wide open for 2 pounds per thousand on a larger SGN as opposed to a smaller SGN, which is going to be more closed. So it just goes to show it's not a one-size-fits-all deal. We need to know the average SGN of our fertilizer granules so we can figure out what settings we want to use when it comes to pounds per thousand. So in some instances, the information is going to be smack dab right in front of you on the label, and in other instances, you might have to look for it on your own. In this case, this Shaw's Turf Food product, which is very similar to a formulation I actually once used in my lawn fertilization and weed control business, states on the label here it's a 2405, as we've talked about, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium in a video past. And you can see below that, it's got an SGN of 230. So that goes to show that the average prill size is going to be about 230. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, just to save myself a little extra time of having to recalculate this, I like to go ahead and assume, if we're just talking about a fertilizer product here, that it's going to be a 240, so we can abide by the 240 standard. Because if we're doing a fertilizer and we go, I don't know, an extra 10 SGNs up, we're going to be fine, right? It's not going to be a huge deal. Now, if you have a weed and feed in there, then you might want to consider staying there. But like I said, if you watch this channel, you guys know I highly advise against that. And most of these products anyway, aside from what I just said, can actually be applied at a bit of a heavier rate and won't have any extra consequences with that, meaning you won't burn anything, you won't be over applying the chemical allotment, you'll still be within ordinance, you'll be up just a little bit. So if it's a 230 SGN or 225 SGN, I just like to assume that it's a 240 in most cases. Once we got our SGN, which like I said, I like to follow the 240 standard just to keep things easy, I like to go ahead and take a look at a chart like this one here. As you can see, the SGN standard of 240 gives us all the different settings for the fertilizer. Now, in this case, I would recommend you read the label of the fertilizer and figure out what application rate you want to go at and see what spreaders they have present on the label. And then what you can do, oftentimes when you don't have a spreader that's present on that label, you could look at a broader chart like this one and convert it from one spreader to another. So for example, let's say on the label it says Lesco setting of 15, which by the way, if you're a professional, that's going to be equivalent to the permagreen spreader on low gear. If you're doing high gear, that's going to be at 17. I know it's a deviation, but it's an important one because I get asked all the time about commercial spreader settings. So that's something to think about there. So let's say on a Lesco spreader it's 15, but maybe you have the spiker spreader and it's not on the label. In most cases it will be, but for the example, that's what we're going to say. We can go over here, look. Spiker, if we go from 15 on the Lesco all the way over, you could see a setting of 4.5, which is pretty balls on accurate because I have a spiker spreader, and one thing I've noticed, the opening on that one is much larger than say a Lesco or a permagreen, and because of that it does make sense that the opening would be smaller. I know, a little off topic there, but something to go ahead and mention as you examine your equipment and get to know your equipment and learn your equipment. It's pretty cool to know these things. So here's what ties all of this together, because I know it's a little complicated and I know it's something that a lot of us aren't really used to. We're used to doing trial runs on the lawn and being done with it. The advantage of doing it this way is, yes, it is a little more time consuming mentally, right? You have to do math, you have to measure the pellets, you have to be a little more hands-on ahead of time. But the cool thing about doing it this way is once you dial in the math and you figure out the SGN and the fertilizer spreader settings, in most cases, you can set your fertilizer spreader ahead of time and just go. You don't have to do like one run at half open and another run at a third open and gauge it over a large sum of areas. You could literally put it in there, set your spreader, and go. But doing it this way, yes, it does take a little more time. It's not for everybody, but doing it this way as a professional is a great way to save time the day before going out so you can confidently assure that you're putting out the right amount of product. Not too much, not too little. You're getting the effect you want and you're staying within the cost of goods, right? You're staying within your margins, if you will. So that in a nutshell is how I like to approach this when I'm calibrating my spreader for each round if I'm doing granular. So there really is a lot more to unpack here, and I think we can do this in the future for sure. But in this video, it's a starting point, right? It's not the final destination, it's a starting point, and sometimes you do have to dial it in the field, but it is a great starting point to get you 99% of the way there to make sure everything is good to go, right? By making sure we're properly calibrated, we're going to get down a proper application, we're going to take care of all the problems, and we're also going to have a greener, thicker, more consistent color all throughout our lawn because we took the extra time to do this calibration reading. Another thing we're going to be talking about in the future is application conditions, right? Weather. We're going to be talking about weather. We're going to be talking about proper conditions to put down granules and how to evenly disperse granules across. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And on top of that, we're also going to be talking about liquid fertilizer and how to calibrate that, because that is an entirely different animal and it's a lot of fun. So it's something we're going to be talking about, so make sure you stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you guys want to check out some other videos we've done here on the channel where we talk about how to have the deepest, darkest, greenest, thickest lawn in the block, I recommend you check out these two to start. And if you click this button right here, something magical is going to happen. You're going to be hearing more from me as I teach you how to have the deepest, darkest, greenest, thickest lawn in the block here in 2025. Subscribe. We'd love to have you, and if you have any comments, leave them below. I'd love to answer your questions.